Every living thing on this planet needs oxygen to survive. But what if I told you there are creatures on Earth right now, animals, not bacteria, that have figured out how to cheat one of biology's most fundamental rules? Creatures that thrive in places where oxygen doesn't exist, where every breath you took would be your last, where life, by every definition we know, should be impossible. And yet, they're alive. For billions of years, oxygen has been the currency of complex life. Your cells burn it like fuel. Your blood carries it like cargo. Without it, your brain shuts down in 4 minutes. Your heart stops shortly after. Oxygen isn't optional. It's everything. Or so we thought. Because deep in the most extreme corners of this planet, in suffocating ocean floors, inside frozen lakes, and even inside the bodies of other animals, evolution has produced organisms that looked at oxygen and said, "We don't need it." And some of them are far stranger than you could ever imagine. Let's start with the one that rewrote the textbooks. In 2020, scientists at Tel Aviv University made a discovery that shook the entire field of biology. They found an animal, a genuine multicellular animal that possesses no mitochondrial genome for breathing oxygen. None. Zero. It had completely abandoned the process that every other animal on Earth depends on to generate energy. Its name is Haenaguia salmonicola. It's a tiny parasite, smaller than a grain of sand, that lives inside the muscle tissue of salmon, and it is, to this day, the only known animal on Earth that does not breathe. Think about that for a second. Every animal we've ever studied, from blue whales to fruit flies, from elephants to earthworms, uses oxygen at the cellular level. Every single one, except this one. Somewhere along its evolutionary journey, Haenaguia looked at the complex machinery of aerobic respiration and simply deleted it. Scientists believe it may steal energy directly from its host. It found a shortcut, a biological hack that no other animal has pulled off. But Haenaguia isn't alone in its defiance. Travel to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, past the sunlight, past the currents, down into a place called the Atlante Basin, more than 3 kilometers below the surface. The water here is so dense with salt that it forms an underwater lake, a lake beneath the ocean. There is no oxygen, there is no light, the pressure is crushing. Nothing should live here. But something does. In 2010, researchers discovered 3 species of Loricifera, microscopic animals smaller than a period at the end of a sentence, living, reproducing, and completing their entire life cycles in this oxygen-free abyss. They were the first multicellular organisms ever found permanently living without any oxygen at all. Instead of mitochondria, their cells contain structures that resemble hydrogysomes, organelles usually found only in single-celled organisms. These tiny animals had essentially reinvented their own biology to match their impossible environment. Life found a way in a place where it had absolutely no right to exist. Now, if you think surviving without oxygen is impressive, wait till you meet the animal that survives without almost anything. The tardigrade. Sometimes called a water bear, sometimes called a moss piglet, always called nearly indestructible. These microscopic creatures, no bigger than a dust speck, can endure the vacuum of outer space. They've survived temperatures close to absolute zero and heat above 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And yes, they can survive without oxygen. When conditions become unbearable, tardigrades enter a state called cryptobiosis. Their metabolism drops to nearly zero. They expel almost all the water from their bodies, curl into a tiny glass-like ball called a ton, and essentially stop being alive. But they're not dead. They're waiting. Scientists have revived tardigrades from this state for 30 years, 30 decades of no food, no water, no oxygen. And when conditions improved, they simply woke up and walked away as if nothing had happened. They've existed on Earth for over 500 million years. They've outlasted the dinosaurs. They've survived all 5 mass extinctions. Whatever apocalypse comes next, the tardigrades will probably be fine. But let's go somewhere unexpected. Let's leave the microscopic world entirely and visit a frozen lake in northern Europe. Beneath the ice, in water so cold and so starved of oxygen that most fish would be dead in minutes, one species thrives for months: the crucian carp, a humble golden-scaled freshwater fish with a survival strategy so bizarre it sounds made up. When oxygen runs out beneath the ice, the crucian carp switches its metabolism. It begins converting lactic acid, the same chemical that makes your muscles burn during exercise, into ethanol, alcohol. This fish literally produces alcohol in its own bloodstream to survive oxygen deprivation. It becomes, for all intents and purposes, a drunk fish, and it does this for months, buried in frozen, suffocating water, waiting patiently for spring. It's one of the most remarkable metabolic tricks in the entire animal kingdom, and most people have never even heard of it. Now here's the question that haunts the scientists who study these creatures. If life on Earth can abandon oxygen, the molecule we consider essential to complex biology, then what does that mean for life beyond Earth? We've spent decades searching for oxygen on other planets as a signature of living systems. But what if we've been looking for the wrong thing? What if alien life, like Heneguya, like the Loricifera, like the tardigrades, figured out a completely different way? The truth is, we drew a line in the sand and said, life needs this, and then life crossed that line, again and again and again. We think we understand the rules of biology, but every time we explore a place too deep, too hot, too cold, or too suffocating for life to exist, something is already there, waiting, thriving, quietly proving us wrong. Life doesn't follow our rules, it writes its own, and it has been doing so for a very, very long time.